What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here, and we are live for Sunday Sports Wars. As always, joined by Fear the Beardo. What's up, Fear the Beardo?
Nothing much, man. Happy Memorial Day weekend to all you guys as we remember our fallen soldiers. So, and yeah, it's good to be here for Sports Wars. Lots to talk about. And my Angels went on an 8-game winning streak this past week. They did lose to the Marlins yesterday, but hey, the Angels are picking it back up.
Hey, look, I went down to Miami this week to go watch my Cubs beat the Marlins.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Which was fun. I will say I've been in a lot of stadiums around Major League Baseball. It's tough to know which is more soulless, Miami Marlins Stadium or, well, I mean, the Tampa Bay Stadium doesn't even exist anymore because it got torn down with the hurricane. But between those two, Florida baseball, maybe two of the most soulless ballparks I've ever been inside.
Yeesh.
But as long as the Cubs win, I don't fucking care.
How was the concessions?
I tried to
get a dog or some nachos.
I had one hot dog and it was fine. And then I had like a rice and chicken bowl thing.
So. Did you go on SpongeBob night?
No, I did not. That's on June 1st, I think. That's coming up. But they were doing advertisements that look fun, actually.
Yeah.
Got to do something gimmicky like that when you're a fucking basically minor league team. We're also joined from Will from Game On. What's up, man?
What up, guys? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me. It's been a good week, and I fired up the Traeger every night this weekend.
Hell yeah.
Enjoying the weekend. Cleaned out my ice pool thing to do ice baths in the morning. Starting to get back into shape.
Cold plunge.
Things, cold plunge. There we go. That's what it was.
Yep.
There you go. And our man John for Black and White Sports, he wasn't able to be here past couple weeks, so he should be back here tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but next week when we do all of this. And if Will's got time, he's certainly more than welcome to join us more often here on Sports Wars. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, you've got a big race. I think if you care about, race car driving this weekend every single year and you're from the state of Indiana, it's kind of a big weekend. Look, for me, it was always a big thing. People did watch parties back home for it. I've never been super into racing, regardless of whether it's F1 or NASCAR, like anything. But nevertheless, it's a massive day.
Dude, in Pennsylvania, when I was living in Pennsylvania, it was like a holiday, dude. Everybody was like doing their watch parties, backyard parties for whether it was Daytona or the Indy 500. Everybody was partying for NASCAR. I don't know if it's that way still anymore.
I don't know. I've never been too in, like I said, never been too into racing, but it is what it is.
It looks fun though. Like when you go, there's just tons of white chicks with big fake titties popping out, doing wet t-shirt contests in the parking lot and stuff. Like those tailgates for those NASCAR races look awesome.
It's a fucking party. Fucking party. But yeah, I did. I got to go. I wanted to make sure I went to at least one Cubs game this year. I got to go to Tampa when they were here last year. They were in Miami over the week, during the week. 1:10 start on a Wednesday. I don't know what the official numbers were. There can't have been more than 10,000 people in that stadium, and probably 70% Cubs fans. But hey, I got to win. King Tuck with a big home run in the first. I think it was the first inning. He had a bomb in the first inning, then had a clutch RBI down the stretch. Cubs are still playing pretty well. Lost last night. My man Pete Crow Armstrong, MVP CA, still killing it.
Was it the game that was like 2-1 or something like that?
That was 2-1. That was the one I went to. They'd won 14-1 the day before. I wish I could have seen that one.
Yeah, I was going to say there was a lot of fireworks the day before, but at least you got to see a win.
I sat like almost like not in the lounge comfort seats behind home plate, but in the first row in the actual first level, pretty much, right between home plate and the Cubs dugout.
Nice.
The ticket was like fucking $40. I was right on the aisle. It was perfect.
What's the travel like that? Like, how long does it take you to get down there?
It took me about 3.5 hours to get there. And then to get back, it was during rush hour. So I got caught up in the traffic a little bit on the way back, but not too bad.
No.
Yeah.
Got to go see your team.
Yep.
Uncle Joe Bob becomes a channel member. Thank you, Uncle Joe Bob.
Lions fan.
McCarthy, Sports Wars Sunday. Enter code RK Outpost or Beardo.
Thank you, Alex.
Go check out Meta PCs. Link in the description below. Thank you. Mick Walsh for €2. Brittney needs to lay off the green racist bint. Britney Griner, like we talk about that Luka trade, and was that a bad trade? We traded fucking Britney Griner for a goddamn weapons dealer. Okay, that's still the worst trade in sports history. Chris Coran figures the Beardo's Angels lose when I bet on them. Smoking today. Salute to Memorial Day heroes.
Oh yeah, man.
Chris Coran, it is Memorial Day weekend. So thank you for that. We got some bad news out of the NFL. It was actually, I think it might have been on Wednesday because I was driving when it happened. Otherwise, I probably would have made a video. But I decided to save it to talk about today because Jim Irsay, unfortunately, longtime owner of the Colts, did pass away at the age of 65.
Very young. He don't look it though.
Relatively young. He doesn't look it. And obviously you can't really talk about Jim Irsay without talking about the substance abuse issues that he's dealt with for a long time in his public life. And he's been very outspoken about that. He's talked about that. I think it was 2014 when he got pulled over for that DWI, and had some health problems, was found unresponsive a couple years ago. And people were wondering, what exactly happened. We don't really have any information other than he died, passed away peacefully in his sleep. This was just a few hours after tweeting out, good luck to the Indiana Pacers and like all of these things. But Jim Irsay, unfortunately, Indianapolis Colts owner, has passed away.
Yep. Yeah, very sad, man. I mean, what do you say other than you pretty much already said he's been struggling with some substance abuse issues for a long time, but one of the more electric involved owners in the NFL. Everybody seemed to have great memories and great relationship with Jim Irsay. He definitely loved the team and was very involved. So this is it's sad to see happen.
I didn't realize he was that young because there was that video from just last season where he's dancing in the locker room, right? And he looks like he's 80. Someone's having to hold his hand. So when this happened, and they said he was 65. I'm like, there's no way he aged so fast. Like once he hit 60. But yeah, sad story.
Yeah, that is probably the most shocking part of the headline is he's only 65.
Yep.
Now, I feel like if you look at videos from like 10 years ago or whatever, which he would have, been 55, it's a little bit different. A dude with a ton of energy and stuff. But like, I don't know. Who knows what happens if you do. He's been open, so it's not like we're like cracking up this sacred book. He has talked about his substance abuse issues for years. Not the best thing for you, certainly. And somebody who did struggle with that, you'd have to imagine that contributed somewhat to his early death at the age of 65.
It seemed like a lot of the former. I was shocked, but I mean, obviously, no one was going to come out and say anything negative to the guy. But all the positive posts that were coming from all sorts of players, ex-Colts players and current Colts players. Seemed like he really was beloved and a good owner. And hey, at least he got to be there for a Super Bowl. So
and
not every owner gets to say that.
Correct. And correct me if I'm wrong, his daughters have kind of been more involved with the team the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
I think after he got the DWI, because he got suspended, right? When that happened 10 plus years ago, I think that's when they started to become a little more involved. But yeah, Jim Irsay, he was a loud, vocal owner who also seemed to be a massive fan, right? One of those guys that is going to garner attention every time he walks in the room. He's not going to shy away from talking about, hot button shit when it comes to sports, at least. He's kind of wore his emotions on his sleeve and seemed to a lot of people, at least when it came to everything talking about the NFL and the Colts and the city and all that stuff, to be very open and believable when you looked at his passion for wanting the Colts to be a winner. That's what he wanted. And he did bring that to the Colts. Granted, he brought in Peyton Manning, who maybe should have had a backup quarterback who could just come in and play in the playoffs. And maybe you would have got another, maybe you got another championship, maybe another Super Bowl during Peyton's time there in Indy. But did you see the biggest Colts fan respond to this?
Oh, yeah.
I saw it on Twitter. I couldn't watch it because, I don't know, I just didn't want to watch Seth, the biggest Colts fan ever. I didn't want to see him crying on camera.
All right. So this is Seth DeFlo Erskines, who didn't he win like fan of the year last year or something?
Yep.
Yeah, he was Colts Super Bowl. He was Colts fan of the year, and he went to the Super Bowl. He also did a song with the Colts cheerleaders as well.
I fucking hate this guy so much. But he's the guy's, this is our Colts. This is our team. We bleed blue. Right. He's that guy. And he switches up the lyrics every week and stuff like that. And he has the whinny at the end. He decided that he needed to do one for Irsay dying.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
This will be your Colts. This will be your team. We love you, Mr. Irsay. This will be our Colts, whether win or lose. We love you. For the shoe, we'll win for you. We'll honor your memory this season. This is our team. Go Colts. Yay. Rest in peace, Mr. Irsay. Prayers for you guys.
The salute.
You can't do another take. You can't do another take. I am so torn on this guy because I don't know what he's faking and what's real. I think he's pretending to be kind of retarded. Like, you don't make this your fucking profile picture or your banner if you're not, like, I don't even think a retarded person would make this their banner. I think you would only do it if you're pretending to be retarded.
Yeah, he's smart enough to play into the memes.
Yeah, 100%. I fucking hate this guy because I think he's just full of shit. Bureau loves him.
I'll play devil's advocate. I genuinely think he's just that challenged. I think he's severely challenged. He's got the tism and he's got all of it.
But why is this his banner?
He doesn't know. He doesn't know better. I don't think so.
He does know.
Or maybe he thinks it's a good picture. I don't know. He's having fun in his pool. I don't fucking know.
Every person knows that's not a good picture.
Thank you. Well, like, yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is, I don't believe that a retarded person would post this. Only someone pretending to be retarded.
He should have him in the cheerleaders.
He should have him in the cheerleaders. Yeah. That's a good point.
He does this for the memes.
And for the free tickets and for all this stuff. He's been an investigation.
More power to him. More power to him, man. He got to go to the Super Bowl.
Needs to be an investigation. But yeah, unfortunately, I fucking hated that he posted that shit. But unfortunately, Jim Irsay did pass away. You know, ultimately, I'm glad that that field was just so wet and slippery that Charles Tillman had to fall down. So Reggie Wayne was wide open in that Super Bowl, so Peyton could get one while he was there for Irsay. But that's it. He's been a fixture, in the NFL for years, and even with the health problems recently. Rough way to go at 65.
My favorite Jim Irsay story, real quick, is when a couple of off seasons ago, when he couldn't pay Jonathan Taylor, but he paid $20 million to transport a whale to the ocean or something.
That's right.
Well, I hated how that was like being portrayed
because of the salary.
It's like, well, yeah, he could just fucking give everybody the money, but the fucking whale doesn't count against the salary cap.
Bad optics, though. Not a good time to move a whale.
I suppose.
And the whale died.
Yeah, what a fucking waste of money. What a waste of money. Get rid of that fucking retard face. Is Ryan salty over the Super Bowl? Yeah, of course I'm salty. Should be salty about every fucking team, every game that your team doesn't win. Unless you're just a fucking loser that doesn't care, that's just there to have fun, take part of it. Fuck you. What are you talking about? got there with dog shit Rex fucking Grossman.
Rex Grossman, sexy Rexy.
Fucking awful. Taker, Griner's comments are unsportsmanlike and racist. He should be reprimanded for it, but he won't be. We're going to talk about old Britney Griner. When's WNBA going to start investigation? Griner argued with referees after the game.
Yep, I saw that.
Certainly did. Mm-hmm. Dom H with 5 gifted Sports Wars memberships.
Thanks, Dom.
Our man Dom H. Aaron Judge with 18 bombs right now?
Yeah.
Aaron Judge cruising. Jordan Baum. Norris won in Monaco. Something needs to change with that race. No overtaking, and the pit stop requirements didn't make any difference. Maybe change the track layout a bit. Any thoughts, gents? I'm going to be real. No idea. No idea what they could do to change the race in Monaco. I'm not a big racing guy, whether it's cars or horses. But I'm sorry. Will, what about you? Big racing guy?
Oh, huge. No, I have no idea. I don't even bet the ponies. That's like the only thing I don't bet. Or racing. Unfortunately.
UNSC Connor for 5. Irsay sacrificed himself for a Pacers championship.
That was cool that the Pacers came out and won in that crazy way.
You know, his last tweet was wishing the Pacers luck.
Mm-hmm.
And the Pacers proceeded to come out. Knicks absolutely dominated in game 1 because it was the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals in New York. And it looked like it was done. But the Pacers did not give up. They were down 14 points with, I think, 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go. They went on a furious comeback. And it's not just one of those where the other team goes cold and can't hit anything. Jalen Brunson was answering a few. Karl Anthony Towns answered. Jalen Brunson got the free throw. Like, stuff like that was happening. And the Pacers just didn't miss down the stretch. All culminating in one of the most insane buckets we've ever seen by Tyrese Halliburton, where the ball hits the back rim, I think glances the backboard on the way up, goes like fucking 20 feet in the air, and comes right back down through. And what
he chose to give up the mid-range jump shot to run back with very little time, try to throw up a 3. It was crazy.
Well, also, if you look at the play too, it did look like he was gathering and getting ready, but then the ball got knocked out from behind him. So the ball kind of skitters away. He didn't really have the position.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then the Pacers, they suck the life out of the fucking Knicks fans. The same Knicks fans who are beating up Pacers fans in the streets. And then they go on and win the next game too. All after Jim Irsay's last tweet, just hours before he dies, is all about that. And so now we're sitting here with an Eastern Conference Finals where the Pacers can go up 3-0. Because right now they're going back to Indy now for a couple games. Pacers are up on the Knicks 2-0, and the Knicks are kind of falling apart. If you have watched Tom Thibodeau coach throughout his career, this is not something abnormal for what we see from Tom Thibodeau teams in the playoffs, because he pushes these guys so hard and gets so much out of them during the regular season. Sometimes they don't have an next gear when it comes to the postseason. Pacers are an exciting fucking team to watch. And then over in the Western Conference, it's been a tale of basically 3 one-sided games. The 2-0 OKC dominated, and then last night the Timberwolves dominated OKC. So Timberwolves can tie it up on Monday. We'll see if that happens or not. I want a competitive series. I hope we get some closer games than we have seen. But this is like the worst case scenario for NBA ratings.
Oh, yeah.
When TJ Carr traveled his ass off to get that shot, but I don't know about that. If you're talking about Tyrese Halliburton.
I think in slow motion, you can say, yeah, look at that. That was a double dribble or, travel there. But like you said, Ryan, the guy knocked it away from him. So, I mean, but in slow motion, it looks like it's a double dribble. But, hey,
well, it depends what angle you have, because clearly you see the hand reach around and dislodge the ball after he does gather, which allows him to be able to pick up the ball and dribble again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with you.
Ryan was saying ratings were highest in 15 years. No way that's true, says first name, last name, queer. It 100% was first name, last name. The first round of this year's NBA playoffs were the highest they've been in 15 years. They were massive. Now, when it comes to these matchups, especially this one, I feel like it's going to be some of the weakest we've seen. And game one certainly was one of the weakest we've seen because it's all based on the matchups. This is like worst case scenario if either one of these teams gets in and then say like the Pacers gets in. That's going to be worst case scenario for the NBA ratings.
Yeah, the NBA was rooting, I mean, at worst for Thunder Celtics. They would probably have loved Lakers Celtics, of course, Warriors Celtics, something like that. But Thunder Celtics, Thunder being the new team, Celtics being a very popular team. But now they need the Knicks just for that market. But I have the Pacers sweeping. I called it before the series, and I bet it for the Pacers to sweep the Knicks just because of what you were saying, Ryan, there with Thibodeau, pushing his team so hard. They'll be up 30, and he'll still have his starters out there. Don't need that, and he does silly things like that, and that kind of has a shorter bench, and the Pacers just don't quit. And then I thought also the Knicks beating the Celtics was like their Super Bowl. The fans were already saying, "Oh my God, we're going to the finals. This is our year. Can you believe that? Who cares if we even lose in the final? We're finally going." And I'm like, you guys still got to play a Pacers team that's been resting for a week and just knocked off the number 1 seed Cavs. So let's pump the brakes there. So worst case scenario, if the Timberwolves find a way to come back and win this series against the Thunder, I don't think they will. But Timberwolves Pacers, that is a nightmare for especially the way these teams play. Yeah, I mean the Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards, but the Pacers really don't have a superstar yet. Anthony Edwards is becoming one, but he's not like SGA level yet. And then the Pacers have Halliburton, but he's still fairly new to the scene. And that guy really, I mean, it's not like he puts up 40 a night. There's nights like the other night where he put up like 10, not even 10.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton is for the most part, except when it comes to these game-winning shots that he continues to hit, 10 or 11 of 12 in game tying or go-ahead shot attempts this season, which is nuts. But typically he's the guy who's going to let the game come to him a little bit more than forcing like a massive offensive force. He's going to go out there, he's going to give you 20-10. Yeah. Whereas a guy like Anthony Edwards, we know he can go off. SGA, the style that he plays is frustrating for a lot of fucking people with some of the ticky-tack fouls he's getting. But you say the same fucking thing about Jalen Brunson. But yeah, you look at these teams, and one of the unfortunate realities about this year's NBA playoffs has been the injuries. For Jason Tatum to go down, all NBA first team Jason Tatum to go down. The Cavaliers, best team in the Eastern Conference this year. Darius Garland and Mobley were banged up. Donovan Mitchell was banged up as well. So the Pacers and their first round series was against the Bucks, who Damian Lillard didn't play the first couple games and then came back and immediately tore his Achilles. So you've got these like matchups and these big stars and big names who some of these teams were able to get by out of happenstance.
Well, even the Knicks, Jalen Brunson's been playing on a gimpy ankle. He's one bad roll away from being knocked out of the series as well. Yeah.
But I hope that the Timberwolves go off because I think Anthony Edwards already at 22, 23, one of the big young superstars in the game. I think despite SGA winning the MVP, I think Anthony Edwards is more marketable than SGA. Mostly because of their style of play. Pacers are fucking fun to watch though.
I'm rooting for the Pacers just because they're just a complete deep team that just play. They have one style and they play it and they run fast and it's fun. I'm rooting for them. Anthony Edwards needs to have one more they need to get one more win out of this series. They don't need to win the series against the Thunder, although that would help. But one of the criticism of him in game one, especially, but both game 1 and 2 is he was afraid to drive in and he was being very passive. And it's like, dude, when you want to be a superstar and your team's down in a big playoff game like this, you got to take control. And they were giving you the lane and you just wouldn't take it. And then we saw last night, that's what he was doing. He was shooting the ball with 4 guys on him last night, multiple times. Like he had 3 guys. I saw a still frame of on X, and it was 4 guys putting a hand up on him. He had 3 of his teammates wide open for a 3, and he still just took the shot. So he kind of took over. He needs to do more of that if he really wants to step up to be one of the next big superstars in the league, which I think he will.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And since first name, last name, can't do a Google search or anything like that for himself so quickly, we're able to do that. And this is what I was talking about. We talked about this during the opening round. And I think a lot of this had to do with some of the matchups in particular. Golden State Warriors still being in it, Steph still being healthy, Luka and LeBron versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, a lot of those things. But opening weekend of the NBA playoffs scores best ratings in 25 years. Now, we're just talking about the opening weekend, comparing opening round weekends to opening round weekends. But that's what it was. It was a surge of, 17% increase on the 8-game slate on Saturdays and Sundays, 23% up from last year, but the highest ratings that they've had for an opening weekend in 25 years.
Well, and we might have had the best series played already in these playoffs, and sometimes that happens. That Thunder Nuggets series was wild, and I don't know if we're going to get a better matchup than that. I said it at the time. I was telling Beardo last week, and I was like, the winner of this Game 7 is probably going to win the title. That's how big of a Game 7 this is. So yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens. You get the better matchups early on. I wanted to ask Beardo this. I heard you on Tuesday Night Main Event. I want to ask you, do you think they should play the NBA Finals first and then play the rest of the playoffs?
What is that about?
I don't remember this. This was on Main Event?
Yeah, remember they were saying you should play
Arkham.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, with Arkham. Listen, if it's the NBA, get that shit over as soon as possible, man. So yeah, why not?
I wish I would have caught that live. That would have been great, but that was funny.
Nobody wanted to listen to my explanation.
No, of course not.
No. It is what it is.
Isn't Asylum going to seem boring if you just played City?
Oh, absolutely not. No. Still great. Great story.
I think it would. You got to play Asylum first.
Well, and we also do have, obviously, at the same time, Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals going on for basketball. We also have the same thing going on for the Stanley Cup playoffs. One of these is more competitive than the others. The Florida Panthers are up 3-0 in the Eastern Conference finals. Obviously, they come off a high winning that 7-game series against the Maple Leafs, and they have just continued with that momentum. Looks like they're going to try to take this series tomorrow. But today, we've got a tiebreaker here. Stars and Oilers tied up 1-1. Will, I know you're pretty keyed in on hockey.
Yeah, I'm not a huge hockey guy, but I've been getting into it because my audience loves to talk hockey. So I've been following the Stanley Cup playoffs. This Panthers Hurricane series is just a money printing series. The Hurricanes have lost, I think now 15 or 16 in a row, Eastern Conference Finals games. Going back to 2009's the last time that they won. And that's got to be playing. That's psychological. It's in their head. And sure enough, they dropped those 2 games at home, and now they came down to Florida, and they were in it last night. They tied it up. So Panthers missed a bunch of shots, almost went in. Then they finally get it to go in. Hurricanes answer back in the second period, and it looked like we were due for anything could happen. And then the Panthers, of course, just ran away in the third period. I think it's over. They're down 3-0. Now, hockey, we have seen teams come back down 3-0 before, but I think just psychologically, the Hurricanes, they're done. I mean, 16 in a row. Everyone's talking about it. You're on the road. Tough place to play against the defending champs. I think we're looking at a rematch of last year. I think the Oilers are going to get past the Stars here, although this is going to be a really good series. Wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7. But I think we'll see a rematch Oilers-Panthers from last year.
I'd love to see the Oilers get back to the Stanley Cup because I want to see the fan. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, she's been quiet. I haven't seen her.
Yeah, I know. I wonder where she's at, man. I still think about her sometimes.
I think her name's Kate.
Kate, huh? We have a name?
Making that Playboy money, I think.
That's right.
She went the Jen Sturger route, right?
Mm-hmm. Good for her.
Yeah, good for her, man. We miss her.
Did you guys see that Brett Favre Netflix piece where they went over the Jen Sturger thing?
No.
It just came out. about like that specific event and like some of the things that went on behind the scenes. And it's supposed to make you feel like sympathetic for Jen Sturgeon and all this, but it was interesting to watch.
I was just shocked that so many people are like, wow, Brett Favre, not a good dude. No way, huh?
Yeah,
Who knew that Brett Musberger could launch a career like that just by saying horny things on air, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not the only time he's done it, by the way. So.
Yeah. He what's her name? Catherine Webb, AJ McCarron's wife. He launched her career like big time.
You just imagine fucking 70-year-old gross Brett Musberger up in there, just looking at like a 21-year-old Florida State co-ed in a bikini top and like, oh man, 15,000 red-blooded American men just submitted to go to Florida State. It's like, bro, there's a game on right now. Right? There's a fucking game going on.
That's funny. She was that hot though, huh?
She was. And then Brett Favre want to get with that, you know? Old Brett.
Good old Brett.
Fucking Brett Favre, dude. Kyle Denson. If two red states get to the NBA Finals and the Pope is American, really feels like it's the year of the Republicans. I mean, OKC, Indiana may very well. Again, that is a ratings nightmare for the NBA. Any options at this point, other than New York getting in to potentially help, is kind of a ratings nightmare. But basketball is good. We'll see. Chris Pruitt for 5. I might be mistaken, but I think there has been only 11 teams, give or take, one of NBA champions since 1990. Do fans prefer dynasties or a mixture? Yeah, obviously not a lot of teams, not a lot of NBA teams have won NBA championships in the last 35 years.
You know what's a wild stat I heard this past week? The 7 years in a row now, the former NBA champion didn't even make it out of the second round of the playoffs. That's wild.
Yep.
And I think it's bad. I think it's bad for the league. I think the league needs, like the Warriors, like they were fun at first and then people started hating them. I think it's just better overall. Doesn't mean they have to win it every year, but if they get to the finals every year and you got someone new to go up against them, I don't think, a new champion every year is all that great. It sounds great, but I don't think fans actually like it. I mean, look at us. No one really cares about these semis and finals matchups.
I do, but the thing is, you're talking about general audiences, right? You're not talking about hardcore people. Hardcore people are going to watch, and your hardcore people might like, I'm interested in basketball parody. I would love for these other teams to do that. But your normal fan, your general fan who gets pulled in by storylines more so than just exactly what's happening on the floor, dynasties are good for ratings because you have love and hate, right? That's what's good for ratings. So yeah, of course, Warriors go on their little streak and everybody's all of a sudden a fucking Warriors fan and a Steph Curry fan and all that. And then at one point in time, it's like, all right, this is fucking too much. We hate them now. Same thing with fucking Kansas City Chiefs.
With the Kansas City Chiefs.
And
that's the same way.
Everyone's rooting against him, right?
Well, it was the same way for the NFL for like 20 years in the 2000s and 2010s. Like in the AFC, it was either Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, or Tom Brady, except for that 1 year with the Ravens with Joe Flacco. But it was one of those three for like 20 years.
Yeah, for 20 years, you had Patriots, Colts. Well, then you went to Denver.
Or Denver and Steelers.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, you look at the last 35 years of NBA basketball, and you've had, obviously, the Lakers have won several between Kobe and Shaq, and then the one Mickey Mouse LeBron ring. The Bulls are still thrown into there. The Houston Rockets won there too. That was a while ago. Detroit, San Antonio won, was it 4? Your 2 Miami Heat championships. Nuggets have gotten one. The Warriors have gotten several. Boston got their one last year.
Dallas has been to a few finals.
Yes, Dallas. So you're looking at a third of the teams in the NBA have won all of the championships. And some of those only just like one, a random one that gets thrown in there, where you do have a chunk of them that are dedicated to just a couple teams.
But even like with Toronto, the reason why they won, one of the reasons why they won it was Kawhi. Kawhi came and did it, and he had
On a
won it
rental.
the year before, So
Yep. Garth Knight. I'm a week late on this, but what's y'all's take on the Mavs win the NBA lottery? Here's my thing. It seems fucking ridiculous. It seems sus as fuck. It seems like bullshit. However, this is rigged. This is rigged. This is rigged. This is rigged. Motherfuckers, if the NBA was rigged, this would not be our Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Like that. Then I go back and like look at those things, and I'm like, there's no fucking way if you're rigging all these things that's what you would do.
Can't both be true though? They don't have to rig the series or the playoffs, but they could. One thing they control is the lottery.
Kind of. Have you seen the way those things are done though?
Yes, but
they're done.
Company behind it's a little shady.
They're done by it used to be shady as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But because of a lot of the allegations around it being shady as fuck, they have a third party that comes in that does the entire thing. They televise and show the visual representation of all the lottery balls. Mm-hmm. They have complete and total recording of them. They have fucking secret things that they don't reveal based on what your numbers fucking need to come up. All the teams are in on, all of them are watching that entire thing.
I don't think it's rigged every year, but I think there's some years it's very like convenient. Like this year, this year it's like, wow, that seems weird that you did the league a favor by trading Luka with one of the worst trades ever to the Lakers. Now we got Luka for the next decade in LA. It just seems suspicious. Not a good look for the NBA.
It feels that way. And I certainly think that some of those, like, the Patrick Ewing one way back in the day when they were just fucking grabbing envelopes and shit, like you could easily do anything. This one, if you've actually seen the way that it happens, it's pretty fucking intense and it's pretty fucking controlled.
Or the Cavs, was it 2012? Cavs get it so that they could trade it for Love, right?
Mm-hmm.
For LeBron to come back.
Now,
it's weird.
The worst part about this entire thing is that if the Bulls had lost one more game, they would have been the ones that those numbers came up and they would have got the number one pick. Which is frustrating.
I want to know why they love San Antonio so much too. They were supposed to get like the 7th or 8th pick based off of like odds. And once again, they're at number 2, right up there. They got Wemby a couple years ago. They always seem to do better than what they're projected.
One of the wildest fucking draft facts is that the Utah Jazz have never in their history improved their draft pick based on what their draft odds were going in. So if they have the, 5th best odds or whatever, they have never moved up from that or gotten a break. They have always either stayed or gone backwards.
Yeah. That's wild.
And I don't know how I don't. The NBA lottery thing is tough because they haven't really prevented the tanking. Like the entire point of this thing and the reason the odds were so crazy was to prevent teams from tanking and automatically getting the number 1 pick. But it hasn't really prevented that. These teams aren't getting them, but they're still fucking tanking in an effort to get it.
They should have 8-man tournament at the end of the season. Just single elimination for the number 1 pick with the 8 worst teams. That'd be fun.
And you have to win to get the number 1.
What was that?
You have to actually win to get the number 1 overall pick instead of tanking.
Yeah. They say that the NFL should do the lottery, and I just keep the NFL the way it is.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think based on everything we've seen when it comes to ratings and blah, 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 I think the NFL should probably keep things the way it is.
Yeah, you do. Right.
What do you guys think of the Tush push? The Tush push, while Jim Irsay was dying, the Tush push was being decided. It is not going to be banned. It was a relatively close vote. I think they needed 24 votes to ban the Tush push, and they got 22. I don't know. I feel like I hate the Tush push personally. I feel like it cheapens. It's now not every team can do it as good as the Eagles can, but a lot of them can do it with great effect. And it's essentially this free yard at this point in time, and it makes everything easier, right?
Yeah, it's you got 4 downs to get 9 yards, or I mean, you basically.
Yes. And so it's frustrating to see it. I don't know what you can. The thing is, can you defend it? Can you defend this play?
The Bucks can.
And
they stop it more than anyone.
And like very few people are able to defend it without like a 75% success rate for the other team. So I don't know. I wish it was fucking gone. Because I fucking hate it. Just seeing, all right, hey, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. Let's get a little fucking scrum, everybody. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I don't really care one way or another for it. I think if they really wanted to get rid of it, what they should do is just start calling false starts. There's so many false starts on those tush pushes that they just let go because everyone's running up there so fast. If you really want to like get it out of the league or just like limit it, start calling those and then they'll stop, or at least everyone will be able to get set in time. So that's one way. But I think the way that the rule was changed and proposed for this last go around, I think the league would have regretted banning it because basically you could have a tight end that catches a swing route right there on the 1 and trying to get in, and a teammate comes in and accidentally pushes him in the back, and that's a penalty. And I think fans are pissed about that, down the seat. They think of the tush push just banning that part, not the way the rule was is any offensive player touches another offensive player in the back. I believe that's how the rule was years ago, would be a penalty. And I think ultimately that would have backfired on them. But I can't believe, so I'm biased on this because I had a good chunk of change on them not banning it. And then Diana Rossini comes out the morning of and says, hey, it looks like it's done. It's over. It's whatever. And the market tanks to where it's like 50-1 that they won't ban it. And I'm like, I doubled down on it. And I put way too much on it because I was looking at it and I'm like, Diana Rossini is the only one saying this. So I go to Schefter, I go to some of these other people, Ari and all these other people that covered the NFL. No one else is saying this. It's only her. And then it comes out, hey, it's actually not banned. And then no one gives her any shit about it, that she got this completely wrong. It was wild to me, but I made money off of it. So
it was a close vote. I agree with you.
It was 16 the day before. And I'm like, I don't see where you convince over one night, you convince 8 other owners to hop on board. That's why I was like betting on it, because I'm like, I just don't see it. But yes, it was close, 22-10, same score as the Packers-Eagles game in the playoffs, which was funny.
I think that I agree with you in terms of the things that they would ban, like, somebody trying to get in the goal line and a couple teammates coming up. Personally, I think that if you wanted to do it, you structure it kind of the same way as when it comes to, running backs are like allowed to lower their head within the tackle box and shit like that, but not outside. I think you do that for that. You're talking about within the tackle box, within 1 or 2 yards of the line of scrimmage, like that type of thing. Not being able to push because you get fucking 3 guys back there pushing your fucking quarterback as everybody else is diving at players' knees.
Yep.
What could happen is if we start seeing some fucking injuries that happen during the tush pushes, if we start seeing injuries that happen during these scrums, offensive linemen who are, obviously cut blocks are a normal thing. We see it all the time. But if it's all tangled up there, especially as more defensive players on these things start pushing all of their guys in.
Well, that was one big pushback that people were outraged about, was the NFL. The reason for banning it was, player safety, but there's no data on it yet. Maybe we'll get more data on it later on. But a lot of people are like, they had Jason Kelsey come talk about it there with the owners, the Eagles owner and whatnot. But there is no data so far that this is more dangerous than any other football play out there. So.
It's because the Eagles' offensive line has been good for several years. They've been doing this with, as long as Jalen Hurts has been their starter, they've been doing this tush push, and they do it the best. And I'm with Ryan. I think it's gay. I think it's a cheap way to get a first down or to cross the goal line. It's very cheap, but if you don't like it, stop it. I don't think it should be banned because players like you mentioned, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the one team who have, repeatedly been able to stop it. So you just got to get better at stopping it. Now, if you do want to limit it because it is gay, if you want to limit it, add some strategy to it. You're only allowed 1 tush push per half. So you gotta choose when you're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe just you can only have 1 back behind them. You can't have 2 or 3 or whatever, or something like that. But still, even then, like I said, I don't care either way if they keep it or ban it. It's whatever to me. I just think the way the rule was set up, that fans would have regretted that passing. They would have been cheering now, and then during the season, the way the rule was written, they would have said that's stupid because it's just instinct out there for those players to push each other when they're out, in the flats and whatnot. So,
and I'll tell you this,
would ultimately backfired.
But there are things like you can't pull,
No,
right? We do have restrictions on these things in some ways. Like you can't say an offensive lineman is fucking sitting there blocking on the goal line and their guy gets caught up. You can't pull your guy. That's not allowed. So we do have some restrictions around what you're able to do, like with offensive players.
I bet you the Buffalo Bills wish that they could properly do a tush push last year in the playoffs against the Chiefs. Because Josh Allen, it was 3 downs in a row. He tried to QB sneak in. He got stopped every single fucking time.
Those weren't even tush pushes.
No, those were
why
the QB
I wanted
sneaks.
to fucking choke Tony Romo through the fucking screen. Because he kept saying that they can't beat this tush push. They can't beat it, Jim. They can't beat it, Jim. And he wasn't making it. He wasn't converting it. And it also wasn't a tush push.
Yep.
I want someone to do Mike Leach's proposal, where you take that midget and you throw him over the line. You guys hear that? He said, I wonder if we could get a little guy out there and we hand him the ball and throw him over the line on 1st and goal.
Listen, if you have Saquon Barkley on your fantasy team, you're praying the tush push gets banned. Because Saquon would have had like 10 more fucking touchdowns this year. Other than
I don't know why you don't just hand it off to Saquon anyway, especially if it's like 1st and goal.
You get a few more yards of momentum and Saquon Barkley just lowers his shoulders and just fucking, to me, that'd be more effective than a tush push.
It's not
no, it's not. But you'd think it would be, but it's not. But Saquon,
it does depend on your team, right? Not every team is good at it. Not every team has the offensive
like the Buffalo Bills
to do it, right? Not every team is going to be able to be as effective as the Philadelphia Eagles. So it kind of is just like an Eagles rule when you look at it. I fucking hate Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. So probably why I'm biased against it.
You see that Nick Sirianni? In his first 3 years or 4 years as the Eagles head coach, he's the second most winningest coach in NFL history in his first 4 years with the team.
He just got a big contract extension too.
Yes, he did.
And he does nothing. They took play calling away from him. He's just the coach. He doesn't do anything.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting now because after the Eagles went to the Super Bowl 3 years ago, they lost both their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator to Indianapolis and I think Arizona. Yep. And then you bring in Kellen Moore, who is supposed to be this offensive guru. And it turned out, he was a big factor last year for the Eagles. Now he's gone too. He's gone again. So the Eagles have lost their offensive coordinator 2 times in the last 3 years. So are the Eagles going to be able to, keep up this momentum that they've had? We'll see.
Yeah, I've been fucking hating on the Eagles for years, and they have to go and win a fucking Super Bowl.
To be fair to the offensive coordinator, it's a pretty easy offense to call. They've been
give Saquon the ball.
Offensive coordinators, but they have the same style of offense. So
Rob Cortez for 5. Yeah, I remember rooting for the underdog Patriots against the Rams. How wrong I was. Yeah, he was the shining star for that first little bit. Then it's like, all right, that's kind of enough. We've had let's root against you now.
Yep.
Storm Shadow Acolyte had a better script writer than the NBA. No tush push on Vince Wilfork. He was 3 guys.
Oh God, Vince
Wilfork.
Love that guy.
Garth Knight, fellas, what's the best pro sports stadium you've been to in any sport?
Ooh, best pro sports stadium. I got lucky. I was able, before I left California, I went to SoFi. That place is fucking incredible.
For me, I can't beat Wrigley fucking Field. Now, obviously, I'm biased because I'm a Cubs fan, but also it has I don't know, even with the modernization of it, with the screens that they finally installed and all that shit, it still feels like this
old
place.
School.
You're sitting in the same place that people sat 100 fucking years ago. You know what I mean? It's got to be Wrigley for me. I miss pissing in the troughs though.
I like. I'm biased too. I think Angel Stadium is a nice ballpark, but the best ballpark I've been to is probably Camden Yards, where the Orioles play.
Mine. I don't know if it's my best. Probably is the best. I've lived in Washington State my whole life, so we're kind of far away from everything. So I've only been to like a Safeco back in the day, and then I've been to an A's game too. That was
at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
My uncle had season. He was a huge A's fan. I don't know if he still is, but when I was younger. But I went out to Foxborough. in 2017. Went and watched a game at Gillette Stadium. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
Had to fly all the way across the country to go to Boston and then still take a train down to Foxborough.
I was in Foxborough for Tom Brady and the Bucks for Tom Brady's return to Foxborough.
Oh yeah,
Mac Jones. Yeah, rainy, nasty night. I think it was it was early October or late September, right around there. Pretty early in the season. Close game. Bucks snuck away with a win.
That crowd is so weird there. I don't know if it was like that for you, but like Patriots do something and it's like, yeah, and then it's dead silent. Like you can hear everything because it's so open. And then it's like the Patriots do something and then, yeah, and then dead silent. Like you can hear everything on the field, no matter where you're sitting. It's wild.
Is that when they're on offense? Because that crowd might be trained from the Brady days to stay quiet as fuck on offense. Same thing happened with Indy and Denver when Peyton was there. Like Denver wasn't used to that. And Peyton, like his first year, Peyton used to bitch and complain, always like waving his arms down to get the crowd to shut the fuck up when they're on offense. And they learned quickly, like, do not make a single fucking noise when Peyton's out there conducting the offense.
Quiet offense at work.
Correct.
Yeah. Put up in Indy back at the in the RC, even back in the RCA Dome days before they went to Lucas Oil. Lucas Oil is a great. It's a unique stadium, at least when it was built. The angular, like the squarish nature of it and everything.
Right.
I've been down on field at Lucas Oil. Back when it was still Heinz Field. I don't know what the fuck it is now for the Steelers. That was a fun atmosphere. I went for a night game, Steelers versus Ravens.
Hell yeah. Is that when you wore your Ray Rice jersey?
It is. I wore my cause we were going there. It was a work trip, and we were like, let's go to a fucking Steelers game. And they were playing the Ravens, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking troll these Steelers fans. I got a Ray Rice jersey right after he got in trouble for beating the fuck out of his girlfriend. And I think Ben Roethlisberger threw like fucking 5 touchdowns and threw for 400 yards. They completely just waxed the fucking Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite stadium that I went to that's not around anymore, the Kingdome back in the day. I went and watched the Mariners when like Griffey and all of them were playing. They got rid of that, but that was pretty sweet. Cool memories.
Big dicks in your mouth. Beardo likes his tush pushed.
Thank you for the 199.
Chris Pruitt. I don't know if the NBA is rigged, but I always found it fishy that OKC, after relocating, had 4 years of top picks. Technically Durant, then Westbrook, Harden. Like it was set up to get a fan base in a new city. Well, I will say that also they were fucking really shit, which, may have played a role in that as well. But
we talk about Luka being the worst trade ever. How about the Clippers trading for George Paul?
Paul George. Sorry. The Paul George trade, that is worse than the Luka trade, but only based on
after the fact
what they gave up, like 4 first-round fucking picks and an MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I think Danilo Gallinari, who, put up effective minutes at times during his NBA career, that did not work out well for them at all. Little Orphan Funkhauser, Jeremy was happiest for the tush push stain. The Astrodome was a great stadium with that scoreboard before Bud Adams took it down, and the roof looked cool too. I've been to Houston's new place. I like Houston's new place. So yeah, it feels unique, which is nice. KW for $10. Can y'all react live to Carolyn Pickens throwing the fastest ever recorded pitch in softball in the MLB comparison? Go Vols, fuck Bama. The fastest ever recorded softball pitch.
Yeah, I missed that one.
79.4 miles an hour. I guess we can watch it. I don't know if it's going to look impressive or not.
And Jordy looking at the 7th pitch of this AB.
Sorry, I missed it. I wasn't looking at the pitch.
Oh, you're looking at the ass?
I was distracted.
Jordy looking at the 7th pitch of this AB.
So what was the miles per hour on it?
79.4 miles per hour.
Okay.
Throwing underhand with a soft.
I see it now. I'm
gonna be real. I have no idea what the equivalent would be. obviously, because you're closer, you're gonna have less time. The ball's also bigger in softball as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
And Jordy looking at the 7th pitch of this AB.
Good on that chick for making contact.
Yeah.
I slapped to the other side. But yeah, I'm not sure what the equivalent would be. Probably like a fucking 115 miles an hour or something is gonna come out. I don't know. Butter Biscuit. Well, there's more parity in the NBA now than 15 years ago when everyone had a big three. The year LeBron James went to the Lakers was great. The stars scattered east and west, at least to the point where you'd see more parity than we had in a decade. And I agree. There is parity. And the thing is, for general audiences, as much as you might bitch and complain about the fucking, as much as everyone might bitch and moan about the fucking Chiefs being in the Super Bowl and blah, 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 more people are going to watch that whether you love them or hate them than they would if, say, the fucking Chargers got there or something. That's just the reality. Mike has bad knees. Biggest issue with the tush push is the offense can push the ball carrier, but the defense can't push the DT in the other direction. True. In fact, you get penalized for fucking touching somebody on a goddamn fucking field goal, even if you didn't even provide any leverage.
Yep.
So they have to do something, because I don't feel like we've seen a lot of teams sell out everything they fucking can to try to stop it. And with the exception of like the Bucks, nobody really can.
When you got a Vita Vea, who's just a brick wall standing there.
Yes, when you have a fucking supernatural person like a Will Fork or a Vita Vea, that's an unmovable object. Maybe you're just gonna see a bunch of people getting fucking fat guys out there just for tush push shit.
Yeah, you're gonna see a whole bunch of fucking Samoans, whole bunch of Samoans on the D line now.
I think if Belichick was still in the league, I think he would have one guy on the roster that was like a rugby player to go take that snap. I think that's you just start exploiting it that way instead of risking your quarterback, your $55 million a year quarterback do a sneak. You bring in this rugby player to take that snap that 1 year.
Right. And it's not like there needs to be any rules to announce it. Like, an onside kick now for special teams, like you have to announce it. Like, what it looks like. When they're fucking doing it, especially when it's the Eagles. It's just like, okay, here comes the tush push. You know what's coming. There's no way to really see.
I guess the only thing with that is if you subbed them on, then you'd have to let them get set and sub their player. So.
And then what teams will start doing once you stop the tush push, they'll make it look like you're going to tush push, and then the quarterback will bootleg it.
They'll roll it out. They'll have a quick pass. They'll do something. Yes.
Yeah.
We got to figure out what the adjustment is. They got to find out what the adjustment is before the offense adjusts back.
Just start calling false starts if they're there, obviously.
Yeah.
Formations. Yeah.
Besides LeBum, what athlete do y'all hate the most?
Oh man, I used to hate Tom Brady the most until he went to Tampa Bay, and I was like, I kind of like this guy. But that was when like every single good quarterback in my childhood was retired. Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, all of the old guard had retired, and the only one that's left is Brady. I'm like, fuck. All right, I'll root for this guy.
What about you, Will?
I don't know. I don't really hate anyone. I'm sure if I thought about it more, there's people that I don't care for. I don't know. LeBron's up there. LeBron's just annoying.
I fucking hate LeBron James with every fiber of my being.
It's like the guy doesn't play. It's like, different. If we're just talking about like on the field, athlete, not their like personally or anything like that. I don't know.
I fucking hated the circus surrounding Tim Tebow a lot. I had a couple like family members that were massive Broncos fans, and they were like so delusional about Tim Tebow. Like to watch a guy go out there and fucking go, 6 for 14 for like 100 yards or something with like an all-time defense, putting up insane numbers. Was it Matt Prater? Was he kicking back then for them? Had a great season as well. Some clutch kicks. They're winning these games like fucking 7-3 and shit. I can never hate Tim Tebow because I think he's a genuinely very good and like super genuine dude. Like the most genuine guy.
It was the
So
Tebow
I never
mania,
hate
though.
him at all, but I did hate the circus surrounding him as a player. Like when he went to all these fucking other teams and he was like the third stringer and like converting him. I just got so annoyed with it.
I used to hate Jeter back in the early 2000s. I could not fucking stand Jeter.
I hated Yadier Molina. I hated Molina. As he was a Cub killer. I mean, most Cardinals were, but he was a fucking Cub killer, dude, for years. So I did hate him. It's stupid.
I guess. Oh, I got one. I dislike. I don't say hate, but I dislike Marvin Harrison Jr. Just because everyone's crowned him the next best thing, and he hasn't done shit yet. I hate when people do that. And look at, I said it all last season. He's a bum. He's only good for 1 quarter a game. That's it. He gets all his catches in 1 quarter. And now everyone's like, look at, he put on a lot of muscle.
Yeah, did you see him recently?
He's jacked.
Holy fuck, dude.
Still hasn't done anything.
Really big.
So
yes.
Get out there and do something, and then maybe we'll crown you. They're like called him a Hall of Fame already. Yeah.
It's also tough to evaluate him within that offense because, to be honest, that is the most, and has been for years, the most inconsistent offense like in the NFL, where they will have a quarter or two where they look like fucking like legendary next level Kyler Murray running around fucking making plays, big plays down the field, and then they just can't move the ball the next game at all.
Except for James Conner. You can always count on James Conner to score at least 1 rushing touchdown a game. I love that prop bet last year.
At least 1, which means he always has at least 17 touchdowns a year minimum.
Yeah, James Conner. Love James Conner.
James Conner's good. Former Steeler. I did want to take a moment, guys, and talk about Prize Picks a little bit here. Let me see if I can hold this up. Here it is. So we can have it up on screen when we talk about it. You know, we've talked about Prize Picks a lot over here on this channel, and obviously we've got some Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals going on in the NBA and the NHL, all that good stuff. So we want to let you know about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. We're in the middle of a massive month for sports, with basketball and hockey both in their Eastern and Western Conference playoffs, along with baseball season in full swing. And Prize Picks is the best way to get in on the action in more than 30 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. So when your picks hit, you can pull it out without having a bunch of money still left up there in your account. Sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. The conference finals are underway for basketball and hockey, so don't miss your chance to add your favorite players to your Prize Picks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, or assists, take your pick of more or less to win today. And obviously, like we said, we got WNBA stuff that you can get on there. If you want Angel Reese, probably, her offensive rebound number line, it's always an interesting one because she misses so many damn shots at the basket and gets her own offensive rebound. But when you do look at the NBA, you got guys like Jalen Brunson, who are very important to the New York Knicks. Pascal Siakam went for 40 the other night, but now his line's over at 20.5. Don't know if we're going to see a repeat of that, but certainly a lot of interesting things. Tyrese Halliburton, that rebounds plus assist line at 14. I think that's an interesting one to take a look at for sure. But also, if you're big into hockey, you got all of the hockey lines out there too for the Eastern and Western Conference finals. So get in with Prize Picks today. Download the app, use code GG to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, that's code GG for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
I got a question for you for WNBA. Is there a pick for Angel Reese to miss her first shot attempt?
I don't know if we have that, but we do have. Let's see what we have.
Because that's a gimme.
We got points, assist, rebounds for. We can see what rebounds for Angel Reese probably are. It's got a 13.5 rebounds for Angel Reese. Britney Griner over there at 7.5. That's a hot pick right now, apparently.
How high can you go? Will they let you go with that? Angel Reese rebounds. If you click the little double arrow.
So this one is, you're going to have your goblin and your demon ones. So if you guys don't understand prize picks too, it's a good one. So you can adjust these lines and get different odds for them. Obviously, if you think she's going to have an even bigger game than this, you can go up and say, you know what? Angel Reese is going to have 20 fucking rebounds because she's going to miss 20 layups and get all those boards herself. You're going to get a much better payout when you click that in there. So, but I don't think she's going to have, I wouldn't take the 17.5. I think that's a little ridiculous. You got Aaron Judge, fantasy score out there. These are just some of the hot ones that pull up when you first go when it comes to popular. Aaron Judge absolutely raking this year.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely raking. Makes Dom happy. Down in the comments. But speaking of the WNBA, suppose we can get into this. Suppose we can get into this WNBA nonsense and make fun of Angel Reese while we're at it. But it really starts with Britney Griner. We had to sit there and watch as the WNBA shot themselves in the foot after the opening game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. A massive performance by Caitlin Clark, a triple-double, and the Chicago Sky got destroyed. And instead of that being the story became racism when the WNBA announced they launched an investigation after a troll on social media said very racist things were being said in the arena, despite the fact that not one single player, coach, fan that was actually there, not a single piece of evidence, no videos, no nothing. The WNBA virtue signaled over it because they're an unserious, pathetic fucking league. Well, fast forward to a few nights after that, and if the shoe had been on the other foot, imagine the fucking outrage from these freaks. Britney Griner's brutal move on Caitlin Clark doesn't go unnoticed. You know, they got into a little bit, hard foul that Britney Griner leveled on Caitlin Clark. But then after Britney Griner fouled out of the game, he had a problem with that. Viral clip appears to show Britney Griner calling Caitlin Clark trash and fucking white girl courtside. And we can watch it right here. This Britney Griner, the person who was in prison in Russia, and we traded for an actual arms dealer. Worst trade in sports history right there. This is her after getting upset.
For the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
Trash and fucking white girls. Imagine if Caitlin Clark was on the sideline and said fucking black girls complaining about other players or anything.
Now, I saw something that said that she said whack call, not white girl. I was curious what you guys think.
There are some people that are like, she didn't say that. She said fucking whack calls. Which look, I suppose there's just as good odds that she said whack calls as white girls. But here's the thing. The WNBA launched a fucking investigation off an anonymous Twitter trolls report. Where's the investigation into this?
Yeah,
fair.
Like, there's way more for this than there is for that. Now, she said fucking whack calls. I suppose it could be. Could also be she said fucking white girls after being frustrated with Caitlin Clark all night and then fouling out of the game.
And you better believe that if it was Caitlin Clark and she said something, but you get some bad lip reading, even if, you know, you want to give her the benefit of the doubt, the WNBA wouldn't. All these journalists on Twitter wouldn't. They would take the worst possible thing that you can lip read Caitlin Clark saying and, you know, pinpoint it to being racist, even if she didn't say something like that. But here we have Britney Griner, who looks like she's saying fucking white girls. Oh, but what if she said something else? What if she said whack calls? Got to give her the benefit of the doubt. You wouldn't be giving Caitlin Clark the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and it's the idea that they have Caitlin Clark, and you talked about this before the stream. Caitlin Clark has changed the WNBA in terms of people giving a fuck about it. Period. She is the one who's responsible for anything and everything, attention-wise, ratings-wise, ticket sales. It can be attributed to Caitlin Clark. Period. Bottom line. End of story. And I think that makes a lot of people who have been in the WNBA for a while mad. I think it makes people like Angel Reese very fucking upset. Angel Reese, who, you know, shares TikToks calling Caitlin Clark a stupid victim, a fake victim white girl. Those are the types of clips and TikToks that Angel Reese has reshared about Caitlin Clark. There's a lot of animosity towards her. What were you talking about before the stream when you brought up some of those numbers that Caitlin Clark value added to the NBA?
Yeah, they says Caitlin Clark was responsible for 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity last season, including revenue for merchandise, ticket sales, and television, according to an experts at valuations. She's projected to the economic impact that she brings this season is expected to reach more than 875 million and could eclipse $1 billion. And they won't go in, they won't get behind her and stand behind her. I mean, if everyone just embraced the Caitlin Clark effect, the WNBA might actually be profitable in the near future, you know?
For the first time in its history, it possibly could be. But like you said, instead of capitalizing on that, they launched an investigation over nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you have consistently people showing racial animosity, whether it's Britney Griner, Angel Reese, whoever, racial animosity towards Caitlin Clark, who is white, yet nothing happens. Nothing from the WNBA about this at all when you're starting investigations over fucking Twitter trolls. But we should do a catch-up for Angel Reese, shouldn't we? We got to look at this Angel Reese, this legendary Angel Reese stat line that she had the other day. I believe she was 0 for 8 from the field, had like 12 rebounds, had 2 points, was 2 of 6 from the free throw line. And this might be the play that is more Angel Reese, classic Angel Reese than anything else. Angel Reese offensive rebound. Angel Reese misses layup. Angel Reese offensive rebound. Jones blocks Angel Reese's 1-foot layup. Angel Reese offensive rebound. Jaquel Jones blocks Angel Reese's 1-foot layup. Angel Reese offensive rebound. This is why you're getting legendary rebounding numbers from this dumb hoe. This is the person who thinks they deserve to get paid more and they deserve just as much credit as Caitlin Clark for bringing attention to the WNBA. Watch this shit.
The bench. Cardoso with the miss. Angel Reese picks it up, what she's good at.
And also the fucking announcers, like trying to be like, oh, she's fighting. Look at that. Look at her. As opposed to what is this pathetic display of basketball?
Another offensive rebound. She says, give me that. How about another? Persistence trying to pay off. Jones gets a piece. Angel Reese won't give up. Jones with another block. The bench.
Holy shit, dude.
Hey, I know maybe the announcers are trying to, make her sound better than she is, but maybe they're also just playing along with the meme.
I don't think so.
It's funnier if you think about it that way, because it's just it's pathetic.
It is a disgusting display of basketball. And it's not like if you foul her, she's gonna fucking miss her free throws too. She's probably on pace to she's going to have once again one of the worst field goal percentages in history from within 5 feet of the rim.
Did you see that alert ESPN sent out after this game?
Bro, it was bad. ESPN did send an alert out like roasting her. Angel Reese, historic fucking poor night from the field, missing 8 field goals within 5 feet of the basket or something. That's what it was, right?
It says historically bad shooting, and then the little emoji face of like grinning, like uh-oh. It says Angel Reese goes over 7 from within 4 feet of the basket to tie the most misses from that distance in WNBA history over the past 10 seasons.
That's fucking crazy.
Wild.
You had a bunch of fucking retards that were legitimately saying she should be rookie of the year as well. Nuts.
Or her stats of the most double doubles in WNBA history. Not even just for a rookie. And it's like, yeah, because you take a third of her rebounds away and she wouldn't have a double double, because only about a third of those rebounds should count.
Look, she is a good rebounder, obviously. She is a very good rebounder. That's the one part of her game that is really good, stands out. But what are we fucking talking about here?
Imagine if she had a Caitlin Clark on her team, whereas when she was down low and everyone's around her, she could dish it out for a 3.
She should do that, period. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's Caitlin Clark. It doesn't matter who's standing out there. Like, you're fucking throwing up trash. Mm-hmm. And the way she does it, too, this is, I don't know fucking I don't know anything about how fucking female college basketball players are developed. But all of these shots are like floating away. Like as a big, right? You have to be going towards the rim. You have to force that contact. You force foul. All of her fucking attempts are like these fall away little fucking hook shots and stuff like that around the rim, which means not only are you going to have, it's a tough shot to get off, but you're also not going to be fucking fouled if you do that. But she's a poor free throw shooter as well.
Yep.
And she's got a fucking beef.
Yep.
Only player that's bringing in eyes. And where were we?
She is the only WNBA player I watch on X for highlights.
Oh, Angel Reese?
Yeah, just to see how bad she's performing.
It's just a matter of time till we see another fucking clip of that. We had a montage of them last year.
Mm-hmm.
Garth Knight, kind of cool. The WNBA's capitalized on Clark's popularity by moving games to bigger arenas. Yeah, all of her games against the Chicago Sky are going to be played at the United Center because there's actually a demand for those tickets as opposed to where the Chicago Sky normally play. Yeah, no, it's not just Caitlin Clark. I'm Angel Reese. You got to give me my credit, too. You got to give me my credit for where this league going to be. Fucking dumb bitch. I hate Caitlin Clark, or I hate Angel Reese. Back to this last super chat. I fucking hate Angel Reese. Wu-Tang Dan. Yo, Danielle to Sith Lord. Love Ant-Man bringing the noise last night. If not the Nuggets, at least make it a team who play the right way. Look, I think that like the Minnesota Timberwolves, they needed a big game last night, no doubt. And they fucking got one. I hope it's Minnesota and Indy in the finals.
I mean, with that, if you want to say play the right way, the Thunder play the right way. The Thunder are not, it's weird. They're not a good shooting team. They just play really good defense and get a lot of fast breaks. And they have 90-something wins this season. 62 of them have been by double digits. And it's because they just swallow you up defensively and get great turnovers. And
they play like a 10-man rotation, and everybody's always fresh. They're young, they run
right way. Yeah.
But I want Minnesota in there. I like Anthony Edwards. I like his fucking attitude. In terms of him wanting to be the guy, you know what I mean? And very vocal, very outspoken, never backing down from a challenge. I like that. And Julius Randle, I think, is a good story. Julius Randle, after, getting drafted by the Lakers, back in fucking 2017, 2018, whatever the fuck that was, moving on to New York, trying to struggle to find his way. And then he finally does break through and has a season in New York. Then they flip the script, trade Cat, get Cat over there, bring Julius Randle back. And he fits in great, I think.
I want him to win so I can keep playing the bring your ass clip from Anthony Edwards from last season. I play that a lot on my show when they win.
Cole Hauser, BG Black Ass Riga Ick.
Thank you, Cole Hauser.
Wu-Tang Dan for 199. First to 21. Angel Reese versus Ryan. Who wins? I think she's like fucking 5 inches taller than me. Isn't she like 6'3" or 6'4"?
But you don't even have to guard her.
It's true. I could just
let her wait for the rebound. Shoot. Just box her out.
I'm not gonna fucking say that I'll beat her.
Plus, if it's make it take it, you might shut her out.
We'll see. I don't know about that. It's not a challenge out there, Angel.
My money's on
it. If I get back in the gym and practice a little bit, then maybe. Eric Square, let Mark Jackson or Jeff Van Gundy do the commentary. They would have roasted her. You see why they got rid of him. They didn't do what was told and call the nonsense out.
Yeah,
I missed that lineup. Doris Burke is awful. Doris Burke should stay a sideline reporter. I just can't stand her when she does the play-by-play stuff. Get her out of there. Ben Ryder. They aren't rebounds. They're me bounds.
Yep.
Big dicks in your mouth. Angel Reese looks like Anthony Davis in drag.
I can see it.
All right. Butter Biscuit coming from a black guy. There's over on Rumble. I can't stand the black women of the WNBA. They know nothing of racism. Then Butter Biscuit for another buck. My dad fought kids back in the day for calling him the N-word. My mom grew up with the KKK having an influence. Her cousins had to be sent to other cities to protect them during summer break. And then again says, I hate all this modern day racism BS. Yeah, it exists, but it's not the 50s. I've experienced it and move on. Doesn't affect my work or family, so who cares?
Oh, you are live on Rumble. I was pulling up the Sports Wars. It's on Geeks and Gamers.
Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. I put it on Geeks and Gamers.
I was sitting here refreshing. I'm like, oh man, the Rumble stream's not up.
It's my bad, Rumble boys. Sorry. Fucking retarded. I can't curse on YouTube, Canada. Says Cole Hauser. And then also on Rumble, KW. Well, Ryan, good to know I have a Ray Rice equivalent jersey to wear if you come to Nashville. Don't run on Yachty. Yeah, don't run on Yachty and Molina. I know.
One of the best to do it.
I fucking know. I am like, baseball season has been fun though. Watching the Cubs. I still don't think that their pitching is going to hold up throughout this year. I just don't see it. Their starting pitching is so weak. Their bullpen's solid, but their starters, they're reaching, they're stretching. I just don't think it's going to hold up for them, which is worrisome. But I'm going to enjoy it while I can.
Do you guys think that Paul Skenes is going to get traded at this year's trade deadline?
No.
It all depends on how much certain team, Dodgers, Yankees, are going to be willing to give up.
The thing is, I feel like morale is so low surrounding that team, like the fan base of that team, that I do think they worry if they trade away Paul Skenes, a superstar like that.
What the backlash is going to be.
Yes.
We don't see guys like him get traded from bad teams like this early in their career all that often. So I don't see them doing it.
Team that's desperate,
they have a lot of control left over him still, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's still on his rookie deal. And those are like 6-7 years. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think it depends on when you're drafted. But yes, 7 years, I think, after that clock starts. Because Paul Skenes so young. Obviously, you're going to have arbitration and stuff.
Yeah.
But not a big.
Most of the time, we don't notice it because those guys usually don't. They go through the farm system. Even the number 1 overall picks, like Paul Skenes, was rare that he started his rookie year. You know.
Well, still,
halfway through the season.
Well, even those things, though. Remember, and this has been a thing for prospects for forever. Your control isn't necessarily just based off how long you spend in the farm system and shit. It's when you get brought up to the majors. And that's why we've seen things like Chris Bryant when he was brought up, when he was brought up and they waited until halfway through April to get to that threshold where it wouldn't count against the clock wouldn't
his MLB salary.
Right, exactly. The clock wouldn't start on him, and they got basically a full extra year of control if they waited 8 or 9 games into the season to bring him up. So there are things like that these teams are thinking about. But obviously, with a guy like that, you're going to go to arbitration. You're still going to pay him a decent chunk of change, so it's not like he's getting nothing. But, yeah.
The Angels did the same thing with Trout his rookie year.
Yep. And I think there was like a big... the Chris Bryant, there was a big backlash after that because of like, hey, is this really fair? You got this dude who's hitting like fucking 450 in AAA. He was your best player in spring training, yet you're pretending to not call him up to take advantage of this rule. There was a bunch of like stuff with the union and things like that took place during that time as well. Wu-Tang Dan for 199. What's first, wins of winter or Aspinall versus Jones? Aspinall versus Jones actually has a chance of happening as opposed to wins of winter. So that's my guess.
Dana White says it's going to happen this year.
I'm fucking so mad that I put the goddamn stream on Geeks and Gamers. whatever. I'll fucking get over it. For some of you guys in the chat, this has become a staple of your week. Tune in the morning and, watch a couple retards talk about sports. It's fun. We appreciate you guys coming in and doing that every single Sunday. Well, something I used to do all of the time, especially like when I was still in school, I'd get off school and I'd go home and I'd watch all these sports shows that were on ESPN, whether it was PTI, whether it was Sports Center, or whether it was Around the Horn. Well, Around the Horn is not the same as Around the Horn used to be way back in the day. Just like so many things at ESPN, it became not so much about sports and instead constantly about pushing modern day agendas and identity politics. And finally, they announced earlier this year that Around the Horn would be canceled, that no one was tuning in anymore. They're done. They're moving on. And Tony Reale very quickly started a YouTube channel and was like, yeah, guys, I'm going to do YouTube now, but we're going to say goodbye to Around the Horn. And of course, that was just as controversial as the reasons that it's been dropping in the ratings when you have people like Kate Fagan on there using that as a platform to talk about transgender athletes and transgender girls playing sports, and they deserve to play sports. But finally, we had the last and final episode of Around the Horn. It's done. It's over. They shot themselves in the foot. But Tim Cowlishaw, longtime panelist, obviously, you see him on there forever and ever ago, had something interesting to say about Around the Horn as they got done, specifically about who they're trying to hire now.
One final FaceTime.
Oh, Tony, I want to thank the fans of this show, starting with all those that bought me all those shots, even if we had to shut that down after about 6 years. I want to thank ESPN for the opportunity that I did not seek and never expected to get back in 2002. I'd also like to say that while ESPN is currently gearing itself more towards hiring athletes instead of journalists, did you not see the 32 points I scored in an intramural game at UT? Yeah. You want to wear my birdies at 8 and 16 at Augusta back in 2002?
And it is interesting that he points that out, and he's not exactly wrong. And that has been a trend. And look, we love hearing from former athletes because we know they played. We know they know these experiences. We love hearing that shit because of their insight. But there is also reality to that where this is what ESPN's doing. They are going all on board with the personalities. And if they stick to sports, people are okay with that. But sometimes they don't stick to sports, and that's the fucking problem. I think journalism has been dying for quite some time now. But this is a show that everybody used to tune into. You had 4 journalists from 4 completely different areas of the country giving their takes on the sports news of the day. And it was fun. It was entertaining. You'd laugh while it was happening. And it became something completely and totally different as ESPN's become something completely and totally different.
Yeah, there was a charm to Around the Horn. Like you said, similar to me, I get home from college and I knew that Around the Horn was going to be on as soon as I would get home. I loved Around the Horn and just the competition, the knockouts, brackets, and then, you get a winner each day, and every day it's different. I loved it. So it's sad to see what it turned into the past couple of years. Almost unwatchable. And to see, this happen. But I love Tim Cowlishaw's comments there.
What about you, Will? Were you a big Around the Horn guy?
No, I never got into those. I always remember like before school, waiting to go to the bus stop, like waiting for the top 10 Sports Center's top 10, that kind of stuff. I was more into the sports talk shows. Mike and Mike, Colin Cowherd, SVP and Russillo was my favorite.
Yep.
Since they got rid of SVP and Russillo, I really stopped watching ESPN at that point. So I never got into any.
Russillo and Cannell was fine for a little bit after SVP got his own show, and it was Danny Cannell. That was fine.
Yeah, but I'm not surprised that I'm surprised. Actually, I'm surprised it took this long for them to cancel it. The only thing I ever see from them is clips. Usually, someone going on a race or transgender rant or something from one of the panelists at ESPN. So I'm not surprised that the ratings went down. Everything at ESPN is going down. And like you said, Ryan, we want to hear from these athletes, but a lot of the times these athletes want to talk about things other than sports. I want to talk about social justice issues and stuff, which is not what we tune in for.
Yeah, and certainly, look, I think it could be done really well and really effectively. You look at Pat McAfee show. Pat McAfee's not a journalist. Nobody fucking working there is a journalist. He's an athlete. They're entertainers. They're fucking sitting around shooting the shit. Obviously, that's paid off in a big way. And I think that's what ESPN is looking to replicate in like every facet of what it's doing. And I think sometimes it works. Sometimes it absolutely doesn't. Look, Shannon Sharpe has gone out and created his fucking $100 million fucking club Shay bullshit, whatever that is. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, some of that might get taken away depending on how a court case goes. But yeah, and it's not like there aren't a bunch of there are a bunch of woke fucking journalists that have ruined all this shit. 1000% these activist woke journalists. So just because we're journalists, you're hiring athletes now. What about us journalists? Well, there's a lot of you guys that have contributed to this entire fucking
100%,
thing, including
100%.
cows like Jamel Hill, including retarded fucking bitches like Kay Fagan.
Bomani Jones, and the worst one, I couldn't stand Michael Smith. I wanted to punch that guy in the fucking face.
The worst show ESPN ever did.
His and Hers with Michael Smith and Jamil Hill.
His and Hers, Michael Smith, Jamel Hill. The worst thing fucking ever.
Yep.
The worst thing ever.
Chat says Will was probably 5 when it came out. I'm older than Beardo.
You're at Pacific time, right?
Yeah. So it was when
different. You got back from school, Around the Horn had already been on.
Yeah. So it would only be highlights or clips or things like that if they showed it. I didn't really watch much TV as a kid either, but
on my way home from school,
I remember the days when I first got into listening to sports talk. It was Colin Cowherd, and say what you want about Colin Cowherd now, but back in the day, I always thought it was so impressive. Like his early ESPN days, his best days, I just thought it was so impressive. A guy doing a 3-hour show by himself every single day and making it interesting. I thought that was so impressive. And it's the reason why he's where he's at today.
What was the show with Colin Cowherd and Michelle Beadle called on ESPN? You guys remember that one?
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
I watched the shit out of that.
I don't remember the name of the show. I just remember The Herd. Whatever. Is that his new show, The Herd?
It's always
by his new one, you mean the one
that's always been The Herd?
15 years.
Well, no, I'm saying in comparison to the one that you were saying.
Sports Nation. Thank you.
Sports Nation. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was Jim Rome was the best, man. The Rome was burning. Loved Jim Rome back in the day.
I used to do Mike and Mike in the morning. And then after that, I'd switch over to Chicago Sports Talk Radio. So at that point in time, it was Waddle and Sylvie, and then Carmen, Yurko, and Harry. And then Harry got in some trouble. He left. So now it's just Carmen and Yurko. Then it turned into just Carmen and Yurko.
When I was driving to college, sorry, Ryan. When I was driving to college, I did Mike and Miker and the show after that. And on the way home, I go to the local Southern California sports. So it was Roger Lodge and the Sports Lodge.
Yeah.
And then when I got home, Around the Horn was on.
Yeah. Better days.
Good old Roger Lodge, man. I used to call into his show all the time. I got so many fucking free Angels tickets from calling into Roger Lodge.
Mexican Iron Man for 4+ years. Sports Wars, better than ESPN. Low bar, but thanks, Mexican Iron Man. DeBeast. Aloha, gentlemen. Appreciate the show on my ride home from work. Also, just want to say I don't hate you, Ryan. I find you entertaining. Blessings. It's probably because I said that Hawaiians hate white people. I was making a generalization, DeBeast. I don't mean every Hawaiian. I mean that there's a lot of Hawaiians that have a lot of animosity towards white people. You're mad that we took you guys over, made you a state, all that stuff. All jokes. Dark Knight Rider stopped watching anything Around the Horn PTI after the 2016 election. You know, the Bomani Jones is obviously a massive loser, but he was one of the ones that had the most sane, rational take about the Shedeur Sanders draft fall, which I found shocking. Like, absolutely shocking.
What was that show that Bomani Jones and Dan Lemitard did with Lemitard's dad? Bomani Jones left Around the Horn, and he did a show with Lemitard.
Fucking hated his dad
and
so
his dad, like he was a one-trick pony. He was always saying something fucking stupid. Didn't it have a Spanish name?
It was something in question, right? Like,
yeah, I can't remember. Highly questionable.
Highly questionable. That's it. He's fucking draw his dad out there. I don't know why Kobe Bryant has all these rings. And you're supposed to think that's funny or something. I fucking hated it. Garth Knight, Beardo nailed it. Rome is the GOAT. Lodge was fun too.
Yep. Roger Lodge. His brother Steve Lodge is based. Big Trump guy.
But Danny, we've been going over an hour and a half, guys. That is it for us today. You got NHL playoffs. You got NBA playoffs. You got baseball. Got everything. Got racing. You got racing today too. What, Coca-Cola 600 and the Indy 500. So big day. Beardo, what do you got going on?
I'm gonna get ready. I'm smoking a brisket for tomorrow, so I'm gonna go get this brisket ready and get it on the smoker and do like a 18 hour cook on that thing.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. What about you, Will? Where can people find you?
Find me over on Rumble, Game On Show. Go follow me over there every morning, 4:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live. Do about an hour and a half show every day. Tomorrow, for those of you more interested in like political or healthcare stuff, I'm bringing back my second channel. I'm going to start doing more consistent streams. The Uncensored Pharmacist. Just look that up over on Rumble. 12:30 Pacific tomorrow afternoon. I'll be bringing that show back. So, the usual for sports stuff, 4:30 a.m. every day.
How many players are on performance-enhancing drugs?
All of them.
All of them.
Thank you.
There you go.
I agree.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Will. Go follow Will over on Rumble. We appreciate him being here. And
thanks for having me, guys.
We're gonna talk to you guys next week. Maybe Will will be back too if he can join us.
Hell yeah.
And John Matrix should also be back next week, guys. I know you guys were asking about it, so he should be back. That's it. We'll talk to all you guys later. Bye, everybody.